Tonight on Fox 10 Investigates, the fifth largest county in the nation by area has struggled to find a medical examiner.
And it's been that way for a long time in Mohave County. 9 months ago, officials did something that they call unorthodox, awarding a multi-million-dollar contract to a company that owns several funeral homes in that same county.
But is there a conflict of interest here? Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum reveals the concerns raised.
Competing mortuaries in Mohave County say they are financially impacted by this move. How? They claim they're getting less death calls from the medical examiner's office, alleging the person now in charge is taking advantage of his position and access. We hear from both sides in part one of Dealing with the Dead.
Family and friends, I welcome you into this gathering.
In life, there are two certainties, birth and death. A funeral is a rite of passage,
which is made sacred by the spirit and the love and the friendship that you bring to this gathering.
Naomi Bradbury Marchand owns Bradbury Memorial Center in Lake Havasu City. At least 90% of her business comes from cremations.
Sometimes it gets to be 188 degrees back there.
Those require authorization from the medical examiner. In this business, the mortuary and the examiner's office cooperate to make sure decedents are collected in a timely fashion so that funeral arrangements run as scheduled. Bradbury Marchand says a lot has changed in Mohave County.
A group of funeral home owners and managers have gotten together. We've talked about it. We all have the same issues. We've tried to address them, and we get stonewalled.
After about 5 years of being the Mohave County medical examiner, Dr. Arceus Mosley sent the county his resignation last spring, citing health issues. He'd continue to provide services until the end of November 2021. Meanwhile, the county did not have success recruiting a pathologist to take his job, but did get one proposal.
Is there any conflict between these two types of services?
We did not see that there was conflict.
During a county board meeting last November, the procurement director and county manager told supervisors there would be no conflict of interest if Serenity Memorial Group operated the medical examiner's office. The president of Serenity Memorial Group is John Hassett. He owns several funeral homes, Arizona Affordable, Desert Lawn, and Mohave Memorial, located in cities across Mohave County. Hassett also sits on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
The mortuary is not going to be running the medical examiner's office, and I think that that's a big concern, not only from other funeral home owners, but the community in general.
Hassett proposed to be director of operations for the medical examiner's office and hire Dr. Mosley to join his staff as the licensed pathologist focused on autopsies.
Supervisor Angus.
I was just going to say motion to approve if there's...
Oh, I have some questions.
Buster Johnson was skeptical. The District 3 supervisor was the only board member to vote no on awarding the contract to Serenity Memorial.
I figured there would be a conflict of interest because in the same business as the other mortuaries are, so there's always going to be conflict there.
The board voted 4-1 to award a 3-year contract paying Serenity a little over $1 million annually, costing taxpayers $92,000 per month. Hassett and Serenity Memorial operate as an independent contractor, so the county can't regulate how he spends funding.
There's no ability for us to hold somebody accountable. He's not a licensed medical examiner, so if I say, you know, you're not doing your job, it's like, well, you knew I wasn't a licensed medical examiner when you gave me the job.
We could all see that it was a conflict of interest. We were all fully aware of what was going to happen when Mr. Hassett got the contract. We just knew it. And we tried to tell them. And at one point in a meeting, the county manager said he didn't care.
How has your business been affected?
We have significantly declined in the amount of families that have come to us from the medical examiner's office. There's some months that we had no calls. There was some months we had one call, and we were actually on the medical examiner rotation for that.
Bradbury Marchand is talking about the county's rotation schedule. It lists on-call funeral homes to accept decedents who either don't have families to represent them, financial resources for a burial, or a family does not know which mortuary to choose. Each mortuary is scheduled by its region and month. The ME's office publishes data online to show how many death calls funeral homes on rotation have received. But Bradbury Marchand says her records and the county's just don't match.
We have information where it's saying that they released 22 individuals to us that month. we maybe got 4. There were other months that they were saying that we got 12, we got 1.
According to the county's case log, there have been a little more than 1,300 calls to funeral homes from January through July of 2022. The data shows Bradbury received 91 during that span. As for funeral homes owned by Serenity Memorial Group, there were nearly 450 calls, 33% of the total through 7 months.
Am I manipulating the rotation in order to benefit my own organizations? Absolutely not.
Hassett agreed to sit down with Fox 10 to address concerns, saying he has nothing to hide.
You know, thinking that calls were being forwarded to another funeral home, this has been something that's been in the industry for many years. I would say that I'm very sorry that those individuals feel that way. They've all got my number.
The mortuary with the second most calls in 2022 is Leeds Frey's Funeral Home, but the owner shared her data with us. She claims Leeds Frey's received 24 death calls in 3 months of rotation in February, April, and May, not 69 cases as a medical examiner's office shows, a difference of 45 decedents. So where did those people end up?
The data and the numbers that are provided by law enforcement, investigators, emergency departments within hospitals, hospices, the data is there. It's available at any time. Autopsy reports are public record.
Fox 10 Investigates did meet with someone who says she worked on Hassett's staff in the medical examiner's office. She does not want to be identified, but the former Serenity employee says there's truth to allegations made by funeral homeowners we spoke with.
It was very apparent very early on that law enforcement was constantly calling Desert Lawn, even though Bradbury or a different funeral home was on rotation. They just automatically called Desert Lawn.
As for why she quit her job,
there was a lot of walking a fine line of what's ethical and moral and what's not, and I wasn't willing to do that anymore.
In part 2 of our report, we'll hear more from this former employee's experience, and an attorney weighs in on Mohave County's contract. Plus, we bring these concerns to the former public health director right before she retired. I'm Justin Lum for Fox 10 Investigates.